As America heads toward its 250th birthday, one Wisconsin company is celebrating a big milestone of its own, 125 years in business, exactly half the age of our country. Trachte Building Systems started in Madison in the 1920s when the Trachte brothers launched a small tinsmith business. Today, Trachte is best known as a pioneer in self-storage, from the iconic orange roll-up doors to the design and manufacturing of steel storage buildings. But a big part of the story isn't just what they build, it's who owns it. Trachte is 100% employee owned, and the company's president and CEO says that pride shows up in their work every day.
Being 100% employee owned is just amazing for me to see how impactful it is for our employees to be motivated to take care of our customers, but also how impactful it is to see them creating wealth for their retirement, which is just amazing to see at all levels of the organization.
Trachte moved operations to Sun Prairie in the 1980s. Leaders say they are aiming for the next 125 years of high-quality manufacturing.